Okay guys, so in this chapter we're going to just carry on where we left off. We have everything with our material assigned, we have our material IDs attached to every single piece that we need. And we're going to start sorting out our cages, which will enable us to bake out our textures a lot easier. So to start, what I'm going to do is I'm going to import, I'm going to close down the material editor, and I'm going to import our high res. So I'm going to go to our medium resolution, and I'm going to import the upper body. So it's everything up until the arms, and I'm going to press import. Let's close that, there we go. And if we just turn off the lower torso and the upper torso, so we're just left with the head and the beard. Looks like I imported that into the wrong layer, so I'm just going to create a new layer, and I'm going to call that high res, and I'm going to right click and add selected objects to it. So the only thing we want visible is our head along with our beard and the eyes and everything, and yeah, so then we're going to just get the head fitted to this mesh. So the beard we're actually going to hide. We're going to right click and press hide selection. Going to hide the beard braids, and we're just going to hide the eyes as well. Right click and hide selection. So with the head we can see that when we zoom in, there's a lot of the high res mesh poking out through the low res, and the goal is basically to get as much of it included inside as possible. So that's easily done. We're going to first of all go to our modifier list and click on the push option, and from here we're going to type in 0.01, and that inflates the head. That's inflated far too much. So let's do 0.005, still too much. We'll do 0.001, and that's just about right. Still a few areas we need to tweak, so we're going to collapse this down here and press yes, and that'll be absolutely fine. Yeah, so before we actually do the push, I'm just going to undo it so that we don't have the push applied. I'm going to duplicate this mesh, and I'm going to start adding it to a cages layer. No, I'm not. What I'm going to do first of all is just save it before I do this, and then everything afterwards will be fine. So let's just add our push modifier, and we'll type in 0.001, and that didn't seem to do anything, so let's just put it up, and then we'll change that to 0.001, and that'll be fine. I'm going to collapse that down, press collapse 2, and yes. And I'm just going to make a few adjustments to some of the areas which aren't quite where I'd like them to be. So the Adam's apple, for one, is going to drag this forward so that it actually sticks out from the mesh, and down here around the neck, and up here on the shoulders, just going to raise these up. Pull these sections out, just so it doesn't have to be absolutely perfect, but obviously it'd be nice to get it quite close to what we need. There we go. Oops, deselect those and raise these up a bit. Okay, and as we zoom in, we see that there's more and more actually inside of this mesh. It's just a bit of a viewport thing which is affecting it, so that's quite alright. Let's go ahead and export this. Let's set this as a cage. So I'm going to go to File, Export, Selected, and just going to navigate to my projects folder first of all. Bit of a shortcut there. And we're going to create a folder and call it Cages. And here we're going to call it forge_head_cage. And save. Oh, don't want it as an FBX. Export. Set it as an OBJ. And forge_head_cage. Save and export. Looks like it's done the upper body with a medium resolution as well. That's okay. Let's just make sure we do export selected. Switch it to OBJ. Just overwrite that. Press yes and export. There we go. So it's just the low res. So that's the head. Let's just hide this section first. And then let's go ahead and get the beard done. So we're going to turn on unhide all, and then press no, because we don't want to unhide all the layers as well. But let's just hide the low res head, and we'll actually, I hate when that happens. We're going to import the beard, the high res beard. So import beard high res, beard MR, there we go, and import. And now we just want to get the beard, right click and press hide unselected, and we'll turn the high res back on. Of course I did that wrong. It's just unhide all again. Press no. Let's hide the head. So hide the head, hide the upper body high res. We'll leave the eyes there. So we've got the high res beard and we've got the low res beard. Here we need to go to push, and we'll do 0.003 perhaps on this. Yeah, that's fine. A few things we need to adjust, but let's just collapse that down and press yes. Let's go into polygon selection mode. Let's just grab the areas where there are actually polygons spilling over and just push those out. Again, it doesn't have to be massively exact. There is a margin for error, so that's fine. Everything else should work. The looks of it, the closer we get, the less there is actually stuck out. So it's just a bit of a trick of the viewport. There we go. So that's pretty much everything. We'll go ahead and go to export selected, and we'll just come in here and type in forge beard cage. Export and done. We'll then hide, well, we'll select the high res beard and press add selected objects to the high res layer, and we'll hide the selection there. We'll also hide the beard. Now I know these are absolutely fine, so what I'll probably do is end up baking out the eyes and the beard braids at the same time, so I'm going to put them all as one object. Export selected as eyes braids cage, save and export, and done. Going to unhide all and press no on there. So that's all the head done. Let's go ahead and move on to the body. We can turn off the head and the beard. We can also delete the high res for the beard as well, because we don't need that. Let's turn on the upper torso, and we're going to have to start taking this apart. So let's grab the arms first of all. So let's just grab an edge selection around here, And I think what we're going to do is just grow the selection until it gets down to that gap in the gloves. So let's just click grow and shrink just to pull it back when it gets over that point. And we'll just make sure we've got the rest of it selected down here. There we go. So I'm just going to detach this and call it Forge upper torso. Okay. And we'll call these Forge gloves. Alrighty, so from here we'll go ahead and yeah, we'll just push this out. So let's just hide the gloves for now and hide these details. I know these are absolutely fine for cages anyway because we built them too big, so we might as well just export those out straight away. So export selected, and we'll have Forge upper accessories and export those, and that's done. We'll hide them, and now we'll just push out the body as well. So let's just go to modify menu and push 0.001. That's not gonna, let's do it 0.1, and then we'll change it to 0.001. So we might be able to get a little bit more out of that. So let's do 0.002. Of course, it's going to be really funny about it. Let's try 0.003. That'll do it. Let's just zoom in a bit closer. It's definitely might be able to stand a little bit more of a push. So let's change that to 4. And that's definitely going to encapsulate everything. Yeah, there's very little that's actually poking through, and again that's within margin for error, so that'll be okay. So we'll collapse that down and go collapse 2, press yes, export selected, and we'll call that Forge upper torso, and save, and export, and done. So we'll hide that. We'll delete this because we don't need it anymore. Let's just unhide this layer. Let's just focus on something. There we go. So we don't need to worry about that. We've done these. Now we just need to make sure the gloves actually fit. And of course I did just forget that we need to fix that hole that's in the mesh here. So let's just select border mode from our edit poly section. And we'll see that there's a triangle there which isn't joined. So just select that and press cap. We'll do that over to the other side. And the difference on the UV map isn't going to be massive, so we're not going to have to faff around with it. Just press cap on there, so that's done. And let's go ahead and import our gloves high res. So we've got gloves, EFG, I do know my alphabet honestly. So gloves, open, and import. There we go. So it looks like, let's just get the wristbands in as well. Let's import the wristbands, wrist strap, import, close, there we go. So now we need to get our low res, which encapsulates all of this. So let's just go ahead and put a push modifier on this as well. Do that let's just do 0.5 for now and press enter, and now we can reduce it without max acting up for us. Let's do 0.002. In fact, I just realised we do need to edit the UVs. So delete the push modifier, put a unwrap UVW on it, and open the UV editor, because there are a few fingers which are overlapping. So let's just get the vertex selection mode. We'll move this over. Move that halfway, move that halfway. Just correct the angle of this. There we go. And there we go, so that's all tidied there. So the only point is an overlap down here. We'll just straighten that out. And that's the last of it. Just got to do the other one now. And we do have a bit of an issue with this here. Wonder why we didn't get an issue with it over the other side. That's okay. So let's just go ahead and pull this out. That goes there. So to fix that little bit here, let's just go into the polygon selection mode and grab that random triangle. We'll then go ahead and press the pelt button and press commit. We'll just shrink that down. Rather small, a bit too small. And that is meant to go in here. So what we're going to do is just, with it selected, just press the stitch to target button. And from here we'll just correct that one little point and move that into position, and the rest of the glove. And let's just tidy this up here. So we've got some overlap on this bit. Just keep on moving them till everything makes sense and you have a continuous green line. There we go. Alrighty, so that's that fixed. No more overlaps apart from this point here. That's good. And down on these fingers, everything else is fine. So that's good, that's taken care of. So let's just collapse 2 and press yes. First of all, I'm just going to export these out as standard. Go to UV maps. And let's just set those as forge gloves, just in case we need them later. And then here we'll do the push modifier. Put in the push value of 0.05, press enter, hate the results, and then hope that Max actually listens to us on the next one. So maybe 0.003. And that'll do it. So got a bit of intersection on the fingers. Let's just put that down to 0.02. And that'll do it. Might need to do a bit of cleanup on the textures, but that'll be fine. So that's all done there. So just merge down the push modifier and press yes. Go to export, export selected, put that in our cages file, and that'll be forge underscore gloves underscore cage. Press save and export. So that's all the upper body taken care of. So let's just unhide all that. Select no on there. Let's just delete the high res for the gloves because we don't need them anymore. And the same with the wrist straps. There we go. So we can turn off the upper torso and turn on the lower torso. And we'll get those done. Just going to save here as a good point. Okay, so let's see what else we need to do here. Let's go ahead and import the high res for the boots. So we've got boots, boots, boots. Bootstraps, the boots, import. There we go. And we've got the bootstraps. Not too bothered about those. Should be able to capture all that info in there. Maybe. Let's import the other bootstraps. And let's import the boot rings. Don't think I'm going to make those actual geometry, it's fine. And then we'll go ahead and import the trousers. There we go. Let's pop those in. And finally the belt. Let's import there. And done. Okay. So let's have a look how the low res holds up on these. So, not too bad. So let's just go ahead. I don't think I'm going to bother separating these off. They're areas which intersect with each other, so it should be okay. So we'll go and put a push modifier on here. 0.05 and then take it down to 0.002. And see how that performs. Not too shabby. So it covers up the straps and the ring, that's all good. Possibly put it out to 0.03, so just catch a bit more. And that should be well within margin for error there, so the belt's mostly in, trousers mostly in. Yeah, we'll see what happens. Can always come back and edit that a little bit later if we need to. So let's go ahead and export that. And we'll export this as the lower torso cage. And save that out. Okay, so that's done. Now that's pretty much all of our cage. I think. Let's just make sure. Just gonna bring up my cages file. So I think probably the last thing left is going to be the accessories, things like the hammer and the apron and things. So let's go ahead and turn off the lower torso. We can remove the high res from these, we don't need it. And we'll turn the accessories on. So from here we'll take the apron. Let's go ahead and import the apron's high res. There we go. And import. And we'll also import the pouch as well. Import that. There we go. Okay, so looks like the apron needs a little bit of a push on there, so let's go ahead and add a push modifier to this. And 0.05, get it over the top and then cut it under, maybe 0.002. And that should be it largely, I think. Do 0.005 is a little bit too much. And that should be just about it, I think. Might need to tweak these verts here, so let's collapse that down, switch to vertex edit mode. And we'll move these vertices here at the corner on these straps just out a bit, so it incorporates more of it. And that's pretty much it, as far as I can tell. Yeah, it should do just nicely, I think. Okay. So that's the apron. Just going to copy the name for it, save me typing it again. Export it out to the cages, and we'll do underscore cage. Save and export. Cool. So the hammer's fine anyway. We know that's pushed out enough because we've already done that. So let's go ahead and just switch this for big hammer cage. Yeah, there we go. Just realised I just want to put cage at the end of this upper torso. There we go. So now we've got all the bits and pieces we need. Let's go ahead and move on to the texture baking. So I'm just going to save this as a copy. And I'm just going to put another 2 at the end of this, or a number 1. So we can always return to it later if we need to. So from here we're going to open up X normal. And we're going to see if this will work for us. So Xnormal's quite a small program. There's not a whole lot that's graphical for it. So I'm just going to go ahead and clear these out from something I was working on not long ago. And basically what it does, it does everything behind the scenes. You won't really be able to see it doing anything, but you assign high res and low res meshes to the correct areas, and it will take those and project it onto the low res, which will bake out textures. So I'm going to talk you through how we do that. I'm just going to bring up my cage folder here, and I think I'm just going to bring up the high res folder here as well. So remember, we've got high res rather than just medium res that we was working with there. So we've got our low res cages here, and we have our high res. Let's just get rid of the material files as they're pointless. We don't want to get confused. Let's just delete those. So we have a button here which is for high definition meshes, and what we're going to do first is sort out the head. So we're going to choose the upper body high resolution, and we're just going to drag that into the high definition meshes workspace here. Now as we go through, we're probably going to want to change the mesh scale. So I'm actually just going to put that up by 10, set the mesh scale to 10, and we're going to uncheck this box which says ignore per vertex color, which is our polypaint. That's all we're going to do there. Make sure it's visible. Go into our low definition meshes menu, and we'll take our head. So we've got the Forge head cage right there. Make sure that we have the mesh scale set to the same thing, so up that by 10. Double click in there and type in 10. And this is pretty much everything all sorted. Don't really need to do anything there. So then what we're going to do is come into our baking options. Now I'm going to just run a test here. I'm going to turn off all of these options, and just going to set up a temporary folder for this. So let's just go back into here, and I'm just going to create a folder called texture bakes. And I'm just going to create one here for raw files. I'm going to switch this over to a PNG image type just because it's better quality. And we're just going to call this Forge underscore head and press save. So here we've got a few options. I'm just going to take this down to 1024 by 1024. So we're just going to make sure that we've got disregard backface hits checked and closest hit if ray fails checked. Bucket size set to 32 and the edge padding set to 6. You can set that to 8 if you want, but we'll see what happens. Set anti-aliasing to 1 times. This is just going to be a test, and we're just going to see if we can actually render out a normal map from this. We've got a few option menus next to these. There's nothing in here that we really need to change. So let's just go ahead and see how this works. If we press the Generate Maps button, it'll take a few seconds to process all the information, and it'll start baking out the normal map. I'm actually going to pause the video while it does this because it can take a lot of time. So once it's finished running, we'll get a result like this, which actually doesn't look too bad. I'm sure the mouth bag's all screwed up in the top left corner, but that's not important. Let's just have a look at this as the actual image file. So let's just open up a new window for that, and we'll go to our texture bakes, our raw files, and bring up the PNG. So let's have a look at this. We've got a little bit of a screw up around the eyes, but that's okay, that's easy to tidy up. The mouth bag, yeah, don't worry about that. And those are the insides of the eyelids, so not too bad. Could probably stand with being improved a little bit, but overall could be worse. I think what I'll try doing is just using the standard head. So let's go to our low definition meshes. We'll come out of our cage file and just head to our UV mapped file. Just going to make that invisible for now, and we're just going to take our head wherever it's gone. They're all materials. Don't want materials. We want Oh, of course we haven't got a head separate, have we? Just the upper body. That's okay. All we'll do is we'll just load in our original max file before we actually start doing all the cages and things. Looks like we... Ah well. No problem. Let's just load that back up. We'll just unhide all and select yes to this. Just select the head, and this is going to have had the push modifier applied to it. We just actually want to undo that. So let's put a push modifier on there, and we'll put a minus value of 0.005, which is obviously wrong. It looks terrified. I think it was 0.001. Yeah, that looks normal. Collapse 2, and yes. I think that was right anyway. Yeah, I think that's about right. No, that's not right. Let's try 0.005. Nope, obviously not. So really, we need to get that to match back up. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to delete the head. I'm going to re-import. Oops. It's going to go to our low res, go to our UV maps, go to the Forge body UV, and import that. I'm going to hide unselected, and I'm just going to select his head again. So just going to deselect these. And I'm just going to detach this. So detach the head, and I'm going to call that Forge underscore head. Okay. And I'm just going to export that into UV mapped, and I'm just going to call that Forge head. Export, and done. And let's see what kind of result we get in X normals from using that mesh instead. So let's just drag the head into here. So we're not using the cage anymore, just using the standard head. And let's just press generate maps, and we'll see how this goes. I'll just pause the video while it processes. And of course I've just gone and loaded in the wrong head. That's okay, we'll just get the push modifier working properly. Let's just undo that. No, delete that. And I think that's actually roughly about right for the head. Not quite right, but see if we can just get that to fit a little bit better. Oh no, of course that's right, the body's inflated as well, isn't it? So actually, having that other low res head there, that is the right size. So ignore what I just did. Just going to export that. Just make sure it's the right one. Just collapse 2 and press yes. Just going to check the UV layout on here just to make sure it's the right one. Yep, that's right. And we'll just do export. Just collapse the UV down. Do file, export, and I'll just overwrite what I did there. So forge head, there we go. And export, done. And back into XNormals, just close that and then just press generate maps again to try it again. And you see the result is definitely wrong. So let's just go ahead and remove that. I think we did better with the cage, so let's just remove that mesh from the list and we'll go back to our head cage. Now we can choose the minimum and maximum frontal and rear ray distance, and just to fine tune it we're going to bring up the tools menu and click the ray distance calculator. I'm just going to press go, and this will take a bit of processing and then it'll just start running itself for as long as you want to leave it to run. So I'm going to pause the video here and I'm going to leave it running for about a minute and then come back with the results. Okay, so I think we left it long enough. Just it's been computing for about a minute, so I'm just going to hit stop. And you'll see we've got these values up here. All we need to do is just press copy results and press OK. We'll close that. And you see that we've got the new values pasted into here for us. So what we're going to do now is just try baking out the maps again. Let's do generate maps. We'll see what kind of result we get. Okay, so you can see our result here. Let's just go ahead and open up the PNG file and see what it looks like. That's definitely an improvement over last time. Still a few problems here and there, but nothing we can't tidy up in Photoshop. It's very rare that you'll get an absolutely perfect map, but again, don't worry about the inside of the mouth, that's fine. Got a few little things which could do with tidying up down here, but like I say, we'll do that in Photoshop afterwards. So let's just go ahead and close that, and now we can choose our proper settings for doing this. So let's go to our baking options, and we're going to choose 2048 by 2048. We're going to do a normal map. We're actually going to do a what else we're going to do? We're going to do a bent normal map. We're also going to do a cavity map, and also bake high polys vertex colors, and that should give us everything we need to really start putting everything together. Might bake the ambient occlusion as well actually, though I don't know if it's actually going to work properly in here. The default options are usually fine, so I'm just going to hit generate maps. It's going to take a lot longer because the resolution is double, and from there we'll just see what happens. So generate maps, and I'll pause the video. Okay, so all those maps are done. Let's just take a look. Now we're really going to have to clean up around those eyes, we're losing far too much detail there. So let's go ahead and take care of that. And might as well sort out what's going on around the lips as well. Everything else came out relatively okay, but we really need to tidy up that geometry a bit, so it's worth doing this experiment first of all. So let's go back into Max. We're going to figure out what we've actually got selected first of all. So we have that head. Let's just see which head this is. Okay, that's fine. Let's just hide unselected. Let's collapse that down, and we're just going to go to our layers manager and turn on the high res. Oh, it looks like we deleted everything from here. Oh no, we didn't. There we go. Let's turn the body on. Nope, that's wrong. delete that one. And yeah, we got nothing in the high res. So let's just import, go to our medium resolution folder, and we'll do upper body, medium resolution, and import that. And close. See if we can get this cage behaving itself a little bit better for us. So it's raised off the surface a decent amount. Let's go on to the push modifier a bit, and we'll put in 0.05 and reduce it to 0.001 just to give us a bit of a hand, and then we'll collapse the push down. And we had problems in the lips, so it looked like we had some intersecting geometry there, which we definitely did. So let's correct that. Let's go on to edge selection mode and see if I can select an edge loop here. That's going to be very difficult. Just click on loop and see what happens here. So let's see if we can just untangle these. Doesn't look like it. Let's just deselect a few of these loops at the bottom. And drag that down so it's above the lip. If we hit loop again, that wasn't very helpful really. Let's go ahead and select these edges. And then we'll raise these up. So that should prevent the lips from intersecting with each other a little bit better. See if we can figure out this jumble over there. It's a problem with the push modifier, as it does everything. Sometimes we don't want it to do absolutely everything, but doing this manually all the way around is extremely tedious, and I don't know about you guys, but I've had enough tedious for one project. Okay. See if I can just lower the take the low resolution and make that see-through. Sorry, the high resolution, make that see-through. And then I should be able to sort of work my way around here, in theory. Okay, let's turn off transparent view. Turn off transparency for the medium res. And that might be a bit tidier. bit hard to tell, to be honest. Doing this part of the geometry is extremely difficult, just due to the position of it. I might even start doing characters with open mouths instead. That might give better results. So the other issue was the eyelids. Not quite sure why. Shouldn't be any problem with those. I'm just going to select the edge loop there. You can set the edge loop on a polygon by holding down Control and Shift and clicking. So select a face and then the one next to it, hold down Control Shift. And I'm just going to expand these up so it kind of hugs everything a little bit closer. Let's just move these in. And just untangle this little nest here as well. Sometimes you'll just get perfect bakes, sometimes you won't. And this is the case where we need a little bit of modification. But that's a good thing. At least you know it happens. So that's largely it, I think. I'm just going to export this out, and we're going to put that in our cages file. And we're going to do head cage, save, and yes, we'll export that. And we're going to try another test. Just going to turn off all of these again. Just try it with the normal map. Set to 1024 by 1024. And just try that once more. So everything is set at the same scale, which is fine. Generate maps. And just pause it while it does that. And it looks like we got much the same result. So let's see what else we can tweak here. Let's go to our load definition meshes, and I'm just going to set that to 1 and set that to 1 as well, just to see if that makes any difference whatsoever. Bacon options, just generate again. I'll just pause this video again. And we got the same results again, so it looks like that's the best we're going to get. So that's alright, let's just go ahead and bake out some final textures. I like to bake them out at 4096 by 4096 just to give me some extra resolution to play with. Plus we'll also cut it down by half, so we'll get anti-aliasing for free. So let's do the ambient occlusion, we'll do the bent normal map, we'll do cavity map, we'll do the bake high polys vertex colors, and we're going to hit generate maps, and that should work for us. So generate maps, and just going to pause the video. Okay, so those maps are baked out now. So let's see what we've got. This is our bent normal map, which isn't too bad actually. It's going to be very easy to clean up. Yeah, we don't need to worry about that. We're not going to use it. and around the eyes. It's only on the inside of the eye, so it doesn't matter. Cavity map, which we'll use as an ambient occlusion because it does just about the same thing. Normal map, needs tidying up, but so does everything else. Occlusion map, this will just be used to change some highlights and things like that. And then we have the V-cols, the vertex colours, which should just about work for us, I think. If you want to test this out and have a look at what it'd look like in a game engine, then Xnormals actually has a very simple way of doing this. If you go to the 3D viewer, first of all, go to the high definition mesh and make it invisible. Head to the 3D viewer tab, drag the V-cols over to the base texture, then drag the normal map over to the normal map area, and then we'll press launch viewer, though it's opened up on the wrong monitor for me. So I'm just going to bring that over. Just going to click the run windowed button and launch the viewer. It's going to load everything in. This is going to be a bit of a look at what it will look like. It's not particularly accurate because it's not exactly a brilliant engine, but the normal maps are working pretty well. Obviously got a bit of tidy up to do there, but we know that anyway. But everything seems to be working just fine. No real errors except for in bits where we'd expect them. Overall, we've got a lot of nice detail on the normal map, so that's all good. So around the mouth, I think it's actually the mouth bag that's been causing all the issues on the lips. So don't worry about those. It's yeah, that'll be absolutely fine. So I'm just going to press escape to close that. And so we've got our head, and let's go ahead, well, and do the rest. So just going to remove the high and low res from these lists. Next thing we're going to do is the beard. So let's go ahead to our low res cages, and we're going to grab the beard. We're then going to go to our high res files and grab the beard here as well. Oh, don't want to put it in there, let's just remove that. And put the high res in with the high res section. There we go. Turn off ignore vertex colors, because that's what gives us our diffuse texture. Bacon options, we're going to keep it the same. Just going to run a quick test on here to make sure this bakes out okay. It's a long process this, but it's worth it. And just going to go into here, and I'm going to call this beard forge_beard and save. And I'm just going to press generate maps. Just going to pause the video while it renders. Okay, so I've got an error message here saying the model radius is less than 2 units. So just going to press stop and cancel that and then close it. And in the high definition meshes section, just going to set the scale to 10. And in the low res section as well, I'm going to do exactly the same. Just make sure that we get decent baking results. Just going to hit generate maps and see how that comes out. Shouldn't take too long to bake this. There we go. So a few things to clean up, but overall not a bad result. These are parts which are going to be inside the mesh anyway, so you're not going to be able to see them, and these are bits which will just be easily cleaned up. So let's go ahead and bake out a high resolution version with all the maps we need. So 4096 by 4096, turn on bent normal map, ambient occlusion, cavity map, and high poly vertex colors. Going to hit generate maps, and I'm just going to pause the video because this will take a long time. Okay, so that's all that finished for the beard. We've got the textures, ambient occlusion, and the textures actually seem to be exactly the same. A few things we'll need to fix, but overall not bad. So just going to repeat this for the other sections. So let's first of all remove the beard, just press clear all meshes, and in the high res, well, let's do the low res first. Let's finish off everything to do with the head. So we've got the eyes and the braids, so we'll set the mesh scale to 10 on here as well. Go to the low definition meshes. Oh, that was low definition meshes, just clear that. Just drop this in low def. Type in 10, go to high definition, and we want to load in the eyes. Eyes high resolution. Put the scale up to 10. And we also want the beard braids as well, just because it's part of the same mesh. So beard braids, high resolution, drop that in there. Type in 10 and turn off ignore per vertex color. And once again, as I say, there's no need to really test this, as it'll be absolutely fine. So let's go ahead and just generate these maps. We don't need so much in these, but I'm going to just bake them out anyway. It'll be a bit of a waste of time, but it doesn't really matter, it's only going to be quick. So generate maps, and I'll pause the video again. And I should also point out you want to change the name of the files. I'm just going to cancel all these because it wants to overwrite stuff I've already got. And I'm just going to rename these Forge Eyes, and save, and generate maps, and I'll pause the video again. Okay, so we can see that this isn't very impressive, but again, as long as we've got the eyes, the rest doesn't matter. So let's go ahead, clear our meshes again. So in high definition, low definition now, we're going to put the upper torso. So we've got the upper torso cage. Going to set the mesh scale to 10. Go to our high definition meshes, and we'll do the upper body there. Set the mesh scale to 10. And uncheck per vertex color. And once again, generate maps, and I'll pause the video. Oh, one sec, we also need to change the baking options. Let's just call this body, and save, and generate maps. Looks like I made a bit of a mistake there. Let's just go back and correct it. Let's head back into Max and unhide all. And looks like I overwrote the wrong file, so just going to export selected, save that as Forgemaster upper torso, and export. And now once again in X normal, got upper body high res. And we've got upper torso cage. I did export that correctly, I believe. Just want to make sure. Yep, cage is upper torso cage. Right, it's definitely right. Just going to rebake that. So what actually happened there was, by the looks of things, I overwrote the file with the upper torso accessories, as we were getting hits on there we go. We were getting hits on the if we have a look at these textures, it looked like the UV layout of the hammer and everything. So this is looking a whole lot better. It's looking like a really nice clean normal map. So the only area where we really had problems has been in the face, but it's kind of to be expected because you can't really push the face too far. So this is going quite well. I'm just going to pause the video again until the rest of it's finished. Alrighty, so that's the body done. That came out remarkably well. let's just have a look at what we've got here. Here's the bent normal map. Absolutely perfect. No issues whatsoever. Got the cavity map, which we'll be using as ambient occlusion because it basically works like ambient occlusion in this. Normal map, absolutely perfect again. Ambient occlusion, which will help for marks and scratches and things. And then we've got our V-cols, which are is our diffuse texture, which is also perfect. So that's good. Actually got some perfect maps bake out there, which is nice after all the issues with the head. So let's move on to the gloves. Let's just bring up our folder for the high res and our cages. So in the high res section, we want to bring our gloves in. And we're going to set the mesh scale to 10. Turn off ignore per vertex color. We're going to bring in the wrist strap in the high resolution as well. We're again going to do the same thing, set 10 on the scale and press ignore vertex color, or turn off ignore vertex color rather. Then going to bring in, let's see, low res, and we're going to bring in our gloves cage. Set the resolution, the mesh scale to 10 on here as well, and that should be absolutely fine. Yep. So let's go ahead and bake this out. Just go to our bacon options. We'll set this to Forge Gloves and save and generate maps. I'll return once we've got that done. Okay, so the gloves are still in progress, but if we have a look at the normals, again, fair few errors in this sort of section on the lower part of the gloves, around the palm area. So really want to fix that up because it looks hideous, and we're losing quite a bit of detail in this area as well. Mostly around the fingers, that's going to be really difficult to fix. So let's just stop this and press close. And we'll head back in here. Just going to hide everything but the gloves. Trying to figure out quite why that's happening, but let's go hide unselected, and we'll import the high res gloves, well the medium res gloves. Where are we? Gloves. There we go. And not quite sure what's going on there because there's nothing intersecting. Might just be a bad raycast maybe. So let's just try one thing. Let's go back into X normal, and we're going to go onto tools, and we're going to click ray trace calculator, ray distance calculator, and press go. And we're going to see how this works for us. It's going to pause it while I leave it to calculate for a minute or two. I think that'll do for there. Let's press stop, and we'll press copy results and OK. Press close. Go into the bacon options, going to turn on discard backface hits just in case, and I'm going to try generating these maps again and see what happens this time. And we can see already that it's just finished off the normal map, and the result is a whole lot better. Seems like the backface rays were actually affecting it. So looking at that, it's a whole lot tidier. The normals are actually no, it just looked like it was improved. It isn't, but it's okay. We'll just leave it as it is, and we'll just edit that in Photoshop. Press OK. Let's do overwrite the rest, and I'll just leave that to finish off. Alrighty, so that's gloves done. So not perfect, but yeah, it'll do. Let's just have a look in the 3D viewer and see how that turned out. Just going to turn off the high res. Go into the 3D viewer. Apply the V-cols and the normal maps. That's all we really need to worry about at the moment. Launch the viewer. It's just click this button to view the gloves, lock the lights of the camera, and let's just see what the results are here. It's a bit screwed up in the with the fingers, in between the fingers, but it'll be okay. We'll just tidy that up. We'll lose a bit of detail unfortunately, but we should be able to clone some of the detail over from the other parts of the normal map. But that'll be absolutely fine. So we'll just close that, just press escape. Do clear maps, and we'll move on to the next ones. We'll clear the meshes. And let's go to our cages. So let's do the upper accessories and see if I can remember what's actually included in the upper accessories. Let's go ahead and delete the high res in here. It's not necessary. Unhide all. So we have the accessories. So that's the belt buckle, the rivets, and glove charms. Okay. Let's go ahead and drop that in there. So we've got cages, we've got the upper accessories, high res, we've got got the glove charms, glove rivets. We have the what else was there? There's the belt buckle as well. So belt buckle. Again, turn off these checkboxes for ignore per vertex color. Set that to the mesh scale to 10. Go to the low res. We've got the upper accessories in. That's fine. There we go. So let's go to our baking options, and we'll do forge upper accessories and save, and we'll just bake those maps out and pause the video again. Okay, so these came out a little bit weird. Good thing is the normals came out pretty well for the belt buckle. That's all we really wanted out of those. Didn't really expect any more detail out of the rest, so yeah, I think that'll do absolutely fine. We'll fix anything else up in post work anyway, so that'll do okay. Let's just close that window. Let's again clear the meshes, and let's figure out what else we need. So that's all the upper body done the gloves, head, beard, everything. Let's just do the lower body now. So in the high definition meshes, we're going to take the trousers high res, mesh scale up to 10. Turn off ignore per vertex color. We're then going to take the lower torso cage, drop that in there, and get the mesh scale set to 10 as well. Okay, so what else is there in that section? So we've got the boots, the boot straps. So let's just bring up this menu here, cages, high res. Let's just add the bootstraps here. Bootstraps 2, boot rings. See how that comes out. Not going to bother with the trim. We can sort that out in a bit. And I think that's everything for the lower body. I didn't have a separate cage for the boots and anything like that, so we'll see how this goes. If it doesn't go very well, then we may have to do separate cages for them. But set the scales to 10 and turn off the ignore vertex colors. Low res is also set to 10. That's good. Yeah, that's fine. I'm going to turn on batch protection on this, as it should render in order. So the main thing we want to do is oh, we need the belt as well. Let's put the belt in here. High resolution for the belt. Belt high resolution. And we'll, yeah, that'll be fine. Turn off the vertex, ignore. Set that to 10. And let's go to the baking options. And we'll do lower torso. Save and generate maps. Okay, so it looks like we're having issues with the boots. I'm not really surprised, to be honest. It would be nice if it just worked, but oh well, that's a massive mess. I'm gonna stop this as it is, although I think I'll let it finish off doing the rest of the trousers, because the trousers are absolutely fine. And then we'll separate off the boots and see how that goes. So let's just wait for this to finish. Okay, so it looks like the let's say everything to do with the trousers and the belt and stuff has actually worked out pretty well for us. But not the boots, so let's sort out what's going on there. Let's turn off batch protection on here, on the low res mesh. Let's sort this out. So let's remove the trousers. Let's keep the bootstraps. And let's have a look. Don't need the belt anymore. So let's put the boot rings. That's why I didn't actually put the boots in by the looks of things. That was stupid of me. So let's put the boots in. Boots HR. That'll work. And let's just try baking that out and see what happens. I'm just actually gonna put this as Forge Boots, just to keep it separate so I don't overwrite anything. And let's just write that. Also, just before we bake, make sure that we set the mesh scale for the boots that we put in as 10 and turn off ignore per vertex color. Generate maps. Okay, so that was worked out. We've got a bit of garbage around here. It's just because we're using another mesh, so we haven't got the boots separate. But overall, the boots look like they came out pretty well. Let's just have a look at what we got here. We've got the bent normals. Don't worry about all this excess stuff over the side, it's not important. These came out nicely. Yeah. Cavities, we've got the straps, we've got the rings. The normals, that's going to look really nice. Overall, very good. Like that. Yeah, good stuff. Alright, eyes not looking so good, but we can fix those up. And let's just clear all these meshes. See what else we've got left. Now we have the upper body accessories, we've already done that. Those are the gloves and things like that. We've got the apron, which is left, so let's just drag the cage into the low res. We'll set the mesh scale at 10. High definition meshes, we'll bring the apron high res there, and then the apron pouch high res in there as well. And I think I'm going to try putting the apron pouch rivets in just to see if we can actually get them to show up. They should do. So let's just have a look. Remember, set the mesh sizes to 10. There we go. So there we are. Let's just go ahead and type in Forge_. apron and save. And this is going to be a bit more than the apron if I remember correctly. I believe this had the hammer in there as well. But we'll bake that separate just in case we get some crossover. So let's generate maps. And I'm just going to pause it. Okay, so the apron's come out pretty well. A few little issues, but it's kind of stuff that I expected in that sort of area. Let's see how it actually came out. And let's just go to our high definition meshes, turn them all off, go to our 3D viewer, and we'll put the base mesh in as the vcols and a normal map in. Just launch the viewer, and let's have a look, see what it looks like, just get a bit of an idea. Lock light to the camera and press this button, and wow, quite surprised actually, it's pretty decent. Could do with a little bit of cleanup obviously, but got the different material type, and the normal map's pretty decent. These edges are a bit of a mess, but again that's no surprise, I kind of expected that. But overall, a little bit of cleanup work to do, but not bad. Alright, so let's get the hammer done I believe next. So let's go high definition meshes, clear, low definition meshes, clear, and let's get the big hammer. So this is going to be the, I believe the upper torso accessories, that included the hammer I think. I do believe that would have been the case, perhaps, or it might have been part of the apron. Let's just import it and find out. So let's just go to our cages. We'll do upper accessories, press OK and import. And let's move that around. Nope, no hammer there. Let's just delete that. Import, and we'll do not sure I actually did one, but let's just export the big hammer anyway. Export selected, and we'll do forge underscore big hammer, save and export, and done. Back into XNormal where we've got low definition meshes. Let's go to our cages, and then we should have our big hammer. Set the mesh scale to 10. Go to high definition, and we'll bring our big hammer in from here. There we go. Ignore per vertex colors. Well, uncheck it and type in 10 for the size. Go to bacon options, and we'll do forge big hammer. Save, and just going to press. Okay, so we've got the hammer done. That came out quite nicely. Let's just take a look at the exports. It's the bent normal map. We've got the cavity map. We have the normals, which look really nice and tidy. And then we have the occlusion, and of course the colours, which came out pretty well. So I'm quite tempted to have a quick look at that in the viewer, as I think that's probably one of the best bakes we've had come out of here so far. So let's turn off the high definition mesh, otherwise that will load into the viewer. And we'll just load the base texture of the vcols of the big hammer and the normals of the big hammer, and we'll just launch the viewer. Let's see what we get. Lock a light to camera and click on this to select the object. Move around with WASD, and that came out really well. Quite like that. Once we do some enhancement to the textures, it'll be a whole lot better as well. So, not bad. Let's hit escape to exit. And I think that's pretty much everything done. And now we can start stitching these together and putting everything into the right places. Okay, so let's just close down X normal. So let's just make sure there isn't anything else that we need to do. So let's go into the high res. So we've got the pouch and the rivets, the apron's done. We have the clasp at the back. I think I might just do something low poly, just a cylinder or something. Belt buckle, the belt, the hammer, the boot rings, the boot straps, boot trim. Boot trim will be something we do later on. We've got the earring, again something we can do later on. The glove charms, the rivets. Yeah, I think we're all done there. So let's have a quick check with the... Got the gloves there, yeah. And what were the upper body accessories? So this has got the belt buckle. We didn't have the glove charms for some reason, not sure what happened to those. So we may have to make those up as we go. And we might touch on something as manual normal map creation as well. Okay, so let's just close these down. Let's close down X normals. The screen will go blank while I do that. And let's just go ahead and get everything put back to normal. So let's just put the head back down to a normal size. We can get rid of the push modifiers. So I think on this one we did a push with a value of 0.01. So I'm going to do minus 0.01 and change that to minus 0.001, and there we go, that's the right size. So that's the head. Let's just get rid of the high res, we don't need that anymore. The eyes were fine as they were. The beard, I do believe that was, if we go push 0.01, let's do minus 0.00, I think it was 2. There we go, that matches up absolutely fine. Yeah, it's all good. We've got the upper body, which we need to do a push of minus 0.003, I think it was. Yeah, that matches up here pretty well. We did change a few of these verts, so we'll have to weld them back together. We've got the gloves. I think we had quite a big push on that, so let's go ahead and put a push modifier on there and do minus 0.01 and change that to minus 0.002, I think it was. Yep, thereabouts. Okay, jobs are good in there. The charms, we didn't do anything with those. Let's get rid of the high res for the apron. If I can select it, there we go. This definitely needs quite a small push on there, or quite a big push I think it was. So let's go push modifier and do minus 0.01 and change that to minus 0.002, I think it was. Probably a little bit thicker than it was before, but I think that might need to be minus 0.03 perhaps. So let's do there we go. A little bit more the way it was. Trousers. And that's got a push of, actually we can just delete that push off there because we left it on. So that's handy. Probably should have done that in the first place, but oh well. Live and learn. Let's just collapse these pushes down. Yes, it's fine. collapse that push down on the beard. Collapse the push down on the head. Yes. Just change the position of these eyes a bit because they're kind of clipping through. I think that's about right. Okay, and then we had, yep, that's all done. The apron's done. These are just going to be something we do a little bit later on, but now we can change the position. Let's just hide the apron. We can get rid of the pouch. Let's just change the thickness of this. I'm just going to grab the vertices on the front and I'm just going to move them back so it's a lot thinner, but still covers up the belt. There we go. So let's just unhide all. So now it doesn't clip through the apron. Yeah, that's good. And we've got everything back to the way that it should be. So let's just go ahead and stitch everything back together. Give our low res back. So just going to select the head, we'll do vertex welding, and we shall weld these vertices to the rest of the body once we've attached it. So go on to attach, click on the body. Want to make sure that our materials are still set up. So this, for the entire body, if we select the element selection mode, that's upper torso 2, that's good. And the head is still set as 1, which is the head, so that's fine. Let's go back to vertex mode and start welding these points together. So just do target weld and just click on one vert to the next. These are vertices which we moved to in order to encompass the shoulders anyway. So we shouldn't have any problem sticking them back together. Let's just select these two here and then just press weld. Should be able to do that for the others around the front as well. Let's just hide the beard for now. And we'll carry on welding these. So hold down Control and select multiple ones. And press weld. Let's weld them too close. Let's go and click on settings. Change the threshold down to 0.001. Probably still not close enough, so 0.01. There we go. Let's press the tick button on there. And we'll do target weld on the rest of these just to move the edge flow back into the right position. Let's close up these gaps. And there we go. So let's just unhide all again. We'll select the beard and we'll press attach and click on the body. If we select the element, this should still be set to material ID 1, which it is, that's good. And let's just make sure that this is still true for these. So that should be group 1, which it is, mat ID 1. And that should be mat ID 2, which is good. So down here, I'm not too worried about welding these points back together. After all, I think I deflated the glove by probably one a little bit too less, but it's good. It gives the glove a bit more volume, and the arm's sunk in it anyway. So I'm just going to attach this to the rest of the body. There we go. And I'm going to attach those. So these should have a different polygroup. So that's set to the upper torso. That's good. And it's going to be set to the upper torso. So let's just attach the apron. Select by element and click on the apron. That should be set to 4, which is accessories. That's right. We have the beard braids, which we need to attach to the beard and the rest of the body. And we have the eyes, which we need to attach to the rest of the body as well. So the eyes themselves should be, yep, material ID 1. This will all make a lot of sense when we get it into Unity. So you're not left wondering what the hell I'm on about with this stuff. So in order to weld the trousers back on, I'm just going to hide the apron by using the element selection mode and selecting the apron. And then I'm going to press the hide selection button just in here. Then I'm going to select the trousers and the lower body and just attach it to the upper body. With the vertex mode selected, I'm just going to select all the vertices around the edge here. That wasn't a very accurate selection. And deselect the ones which I don't want to interfere with. Okay. Deselect any that don't need to be selected. And we should still have the correct setting on weld. Just hit maybe not. Undo that. Click on weld and we'll set that to 0.01. Press enter. And just tick that. Don't worry about all this weird mouldering going on there. Something that always happens in Max. I can't quite figure out why. So that's all in place. Should only have, yeah, we've got 3 vertices selected because we've got 2 down there, 1 there. Yep, okay, so everything welded, that's good. And yeah, I think that's pretty much everything together. Let's just go to unhide all. Let's go to element mode and press unhide all. Yeah, so this weird stuff goes on. I'm not quite sure why, but now we're just going to unify all our normals just to make sure everything's okay. So from the drop down menu, go to normal and we'll flip the normals and press unify. We'll then collapse 2 and press yes. It's going to turn our normals inside out. So example, if we just render it, I know, it's going to be the right way around. I guess our normals did get flipped anyway. Let's just make sure. Yeah, it's pretty much right. Still a little bit weird, but yeah. So what we're going to do now is going to select the polygon select mode. I'm going to select the entire mesh, and then I'm just going to press auto smooth, and that should fix our smoothing groups. So it looks like everything is working absolutely fine. Don't know what's going on there. Let's just try flipping the normals again. So normal, unify normals, collapse 2. Let's take a render. Yeah, everything's inside out now, so let's just flip them back. Collapse 2. Yeah, it's just some weird shading going on. But the mesh is absolutely fine. So what do we do from here? Well, we're going to move on to textures. Let's just go ahead and attach these. And yeah, I'm not going to attach the hammer. I'd rather keep that as a separate object. But we might as well attach it for now. Nah, I'm going to keep that separate. Okay, I might actually do the same with the apron. I'm going to select the apron and the accessories that go with the apron. And then I'm just going to detach those. Press OK. There we go. So now we have our main body, and then we have our apron and the accessories and the hammer. So let's get this exported as a final OBJ. In fact, I might do it as an FBX because it's going to be inside Unity. So let's go and do that. Let's just select the object, do export selected. We're going to go into our root, and we're going to go into exports. No, sorry, go back to our final folder. We're going to do FBX file, and we're going to set that to Autodesk FBX, and we're going to call that Forgemaster, and save. So let's see what we need to include in here. Let's include smoothing groups. We'll include tangents and binormals. We don't need turbo smooth. In fact, let's just go ahead and do media and entertainment, and we'll see how that goes. So we can import the smoothing groups. We've got obviously we don't want to export any cameras. We've got nothing to export in terms of animation. Don't need any embedded media. Let's go to units. Set to inches, that's about right for Unity. I know it's centimeters in Unity. So set that to centimeters. UI, don't need to worry about that. File format, we'll set it to binary, FBX 2014, and we'll press OK, and that'll export it as an FBX. Okay, so in the next chapter we're going to go over the texture creation. It's going to save that as it is, and from the texture creation we're going to start putting all our textures together. We're going to tweak them, edit them, add a whole bunch of different things to it. So join me in the next chapter, guys, and I'll see you soon.